And President Trump's chief of staff is speaking out about the administration in a series of interviews with Vanity Fair. Susie Wiles says Trump has a, quote, alcoholic personality and will go for it whenever he sees an opportunity for retribution. She also calls Vice President Vance a conspiracy theorist for a decade and says Attorney General Pam Bondi whiffed on the Epstein files controversy. Now Wiles is calling the article a disingenuously framed hit piece. White House correspondent Karen Travers is here for more on that. Hi, Karen. So Wiles is taking issue with this article, but she's not denying the specific quotes, and some of them are pretty eye-opening. So how is she explaining some of these statements?
Yeah, and this was a series of interviews that she did with Vanity Fair's Chris Whipple over many months. 11 interviews, he said, that he put together in these two pieces. In her statement posted on social media, Susie Wiles says this is a disingenuously framed hit piece on me, the president, the White House staff, and the cabinet. But she also says that this was done to paint an overwhelmingly chaotic and negative narrative about the president and our team. But
the facade is absolutely shattered. The disciplined, no drama White House we were promised, it's gone. We just got a horrifying look behind the curtain, and what we are seeing isn't just a little crack in the foundation. It is a full-blown explosion right at the very top of the executive branch. They tried to keep this quiet, but the truth always finds a way out. Before we dive deep into these explosive revelations, if you want the raw, unfiltered truth about what is really happening in Washington, you need to hit that subscribe button right now. Do it so you don't miss the next big break. So here is the reality check. For almost a year, the narrative has been simple. This administration is a tight ship. No leaks, no infighting, just focused business. Well, that story just crashed and burned in spectacular fashion. New reports are out, based on private conversations that were never meant for your ears, revealing that Susie Wiles has been secretly tearing down the most powerful people in the room. Remember, Wiles is the White House chief of staff. She is the person running the entire show for President Trump. She is supposed to be the adult in the room, the stabilizer. Instead, she is the source of the chaos. We aren't talking about her complaining about low-level coffee staffers here. We are talking about her going directly after Vice President JD Vance and Attorney General Pam Bondi. And just think about the gravity of that for a second. The chief of staff, the president's absolute right hand, is reportedly trashing the vice president and the top law enforcement officer in the country behind their backs. According to these reports, she used incredibly damaging language. She allegedly called VP Vance a conspiracy theorist. In this political climate, coming from his own chief of staff, that is a massive insult. It undermines his entire standing. But it gets even worse. She reportedly attacked Attorney General Bondi on one of the most sensitive, explosive topics in modern history, the Jeffrey Epstein files. She claimed Bondi whiffed on it, that she choked when it mattered most. These aren't minor policy disagreements over taxes or healthcare. These are personal, vicious attacks on their competence and their character, coming straight from inside the West Wing. This isn't just gossip. This is the kind of internal warfare that paralyzes a government. And the biggest question right now isn't even what she said. It's why is President Trump stepping in to protect her after she said it? The answer to that is something nobody saw coming. You might be sitting there thinking, okay, so they hate each other in Washington. What else is new? Why does this matter to me, my family, or my bank account? It matters because this is not normal dysfunction. This is dangerous dysfunction. When the chief of staff thinks the vice president is a conspiracy theorist, how? Do they work together on national security? When the chief of staff thinks the attorney general is incompetent on major cases like Epstein, how do they trust each other on enforcing the law? This isn't an episode of a reality TV show. These are the people making decisions that affect your life every single day. We are approaching the one-year mark of this administration. This is supposed to be the time when they're firing on all cylinders, executing their agenda flawlessly. Instead, they're firing at each other in the lifeboats. It paints a picture of a White House that is deeply fractured, paranoid, and unstable. Honestly, as Americans, looking at this level of petty infighting at the highest level, you have to feel that we deserve better than this. We deserve serious people doing serious work, not backstabbing drama that belongs in a high school cafeteria. But what happened next is almost as revealing as the insults themselves. When this story broke, the White House didn't apologize. They didn't try to smooth things over. They went into full-blown aggressive damage control. President Trump didn't haul Susie Wiles into the Oval Office to fire her. No, he publicly rallied around her. The entire cabinet was rolled out to defend her. They are calling these reports a disingenuously framed hit piece. They're trying to tell you not to believe your own ears and eyes. They want you to believe that everything is fine, everybody is happy, and this is just the media making things up. It is a massive gamble. By defending Wiles so strongly, the president is essentially telling Vance and Bondi to suck it up. He is choosing his chief of staff over his VP and his AG. Think about the position that puts them in. They have to walk into work tomorrow, sit across the table from the woman who called them incompetents and conspiracy theorists, and pretend everything is okay because the boss said so. The official line is unity, but the reality is deep humiliation for two very powerful people. They are trying to force the genie back into the bottle, but once trust is broken, like this in politics, it almost never comes back. And you have to wonder, how long can Vance and Bondi take this kind of disrespect before they snap back? If the situation inside the West Wing is tense, the reaction outside of it is an absolute wildfire. We are watching a full-blown civil war erupt right in the middle of the president's own base, and it is getting ugly fast. Usually, when the administration is under attack, the supporters circle the wagons. They unite, they defend the leader, but not this time. This time, the call is coming from inside the House, and nobody knows whose side to take. And on one side, you have the die-hard loyalists who have been with JD Vance since day one. To them, Vance represents the future. He is the heir apparent. So when they hear the chief of staff calling him a conspiracy theorist, they take it personally. They see Susie Wiles not as a helper, but as a handler, someone from the old guard trying to control or sabotage the America First agenda. You go on social media right now, and the comments are furious. People are demanding her resignation. They are asking, why is she still there? And they feel betrayed because they voted for a ticket that included Vance. And they expect him to be respected, not mocked by an unelected staffer. But then you have the other side. These are the people who trust President Trump's judgment above everything else. They are looking at his defense of Wiles and saying, if the boss says she's good, she's good. They are blaming the messenger. They are attacking the report itself, calling it a setup designed to divide the movement. They are arguing that Wiles is just doing a tough job in a tough town and that she's being unfairly targeted. So you have these two massive factions of the same movement yelling at each other, accusing each other of being disloyal. It is the kind of division that destroys political momentum. And while the base is fighting itself, the critics are having a field day. The Democrats in the mainstream media are looking at this chaos and they are loving every second of it. To them, this isn't just a squabble. It is proof of everything they have been saying for years. They are painting a picture of a White House that is unprofessional, dysfunctional, and totally out of control. They are circulating those quotes everywhere. Every time Wiles is mentioned, that conspiracy theorist quote is going to be attached to her name. They are using this to say, look, even his own chief of staff knows these guys aren't serious. It gives the opposition so much ammunition. It weakens the administration's negotiating power. How can you push a strong agenda through Congress when everyone knows your own team doesn't respect each other? It makes the White House look weak. And in Washington, weakness is blood in the water. Now we have to ask the scary question, what happens next? Because let's be real, you can't just put a band-aid on a wound this deep. This isn't something that blows over in a weekend. We are looking at a White House that is now operating under a cloud of extreme paranoia. Think about the atmosphere in that building right now. Every meeting, every phone call, every email, everyone is going to be wondering who is listening, who is talking to the press, who is leaking. You cannot run a government effectively when you are constantly looking over your shoulder. The trust is gone, And when trust is gone, paralysis sets in. People stop sharing honest opinions because they are afraid it will end up in a magazine profile or on a leaked tape. They stop taking risks. They stop leading. They just try to survive. We also have to look at the dynamic between Susie Wiles and the people she insulted. Sure, President Trump told everyone to play nice, but human nature doesn't work like that. JD Vance is the Vice President of the United States. He has his own political future to think about. He has his own team, his own ambitions. Is he really going to sit back and let the Chief of Staff undermine him? Or is he going to start making moves of his own? And Pam Bondi, she is the Attorney General. She has immense power. If she feels like the White House Chief of Staff is her enemy, that creates a dangerous friction between the Justice Department and the Oval Office. We could be seeing the start of a Cold War within the administration. We might see a purge. History tells us that when tensions get this high in a Trump orbit, heads usually roll. The question is, whose head will Wiles eventually become too much of a distraction to keep, or will she win the power struggle and force Vance and Bondi to the sidelines? And here is the biggest danger of all, distraction. While they are fighting over who said what and who insulted who, there are real problems in this country that need fixing. The economy, the border, foreign policy. These things don't pause for White House drama. If the administration spends the next 3 months fighting internal battles and doing damage control, they are wasting precious time. They are wasting the mandate the voters gave them. The enemies of this country are watching too. They see the division, they see the chaos, and they will test us. This is why this story is so critical. It's not just about hurt feelings. It's about whether this government can actually function when the people at the top are at each other's throats. So where do we go from here? That is the question keeping everyone in Washington awake at night. We are standing at a crossroads. Down one path, this administration pulls it together. They squash the beef, they force smiles for the cameras, and they get back to business. But down the other path, total implosion. If Susie Wiles stays, JD Vance and Pam Bondi have to swallow their pride every single day. That kind of resentment builds up pressure like a volcano. Eventually, it blows. And if Wiles goes, then the president has admitted that his hand, the pick chief, couldn't handle the heat, and the chaos starts all over again with someone new. There are no easy exits here. We also have to look at the political calendar. We are coming up on the 1-year mark. Before you know it, the midterms will be staring us in the face. A White House at war with itself cannot win elections. If the base stays divided, if half the MAGA movement hates the Chief of Staff and the other half thinks the VP is being undermined, that is a recipe for disaster at the ballot box. The opposition is counting on this. They are betting that this internal fighting will do their job for them. They don't even have to attack the policies. They just have to point at the dysfunction and say, look at the mess. President Trump prides himself on being the ultimate deal maker, the man who can manage big personalities. But this is the ultimate test. Can he force his chief of staff, his vice president, and his attorney general to work together after such personal insults have been made public? Or is this the beginning of a slow-motion car crash that derails the entire second term? The unified front is dead. Now, it is just about survival. Every press conference, every leaked memo, every sideways glance is going to be analyzed for cracks. The media smells blood, and they aren't going to let this go. Now, I want to hear from you. This is the most important part of the show because your voice matters. Who do you believe is in the right here? Is Susie Wiles just telling harsh truths that needed to be said and the others need to toughen up? Or was this a massive betrayal of loyalty that disqualifies her from leading the White House? Do you stand with JD Vance and Pam Bondi? Or do you trust the president's decision to back his chief of staff? Don't just watch and scroll away. Go down to the comments section right now and let me know. Type Team Susie if you think she should stay, or Team Vance if you think she crossed the line and needs to go. I want to see a massive debate down there. And while you are at it, if you want to stay ahead of the mainstream media and get the real story on this power struggle as it develops, make sure you like this video and double check that you are subscribed. We are going to be following every twist and turn of this saga because here is the final truth you need to take with you today. Power is fragile. It doesn't matter how many votes you got or how big your rallies are. If the people inside the castle are fighting each other, the gates are already open. The biggest threat to this administration isn't coming from the Democrats, and it isn't coming from the media. It's coming from within. And if they don't fix it, and fix it fast, the history books won't remember the victories. They will only remember the collapse. Thanks for watching, and stay vigilant.